I'm sure you've created some kind of video, whether that was whatever, your aunt's birthday party, or maybe you went skateboarding somewhere. A friend of mine went skateboarding in Pyongyang, North Korea, of all places. So we all have this little device with which not only you can shoot videos, this and this, but you can also edit on them. Now, for the sake of today, because it's easy with my devices, I'm going to show you how I edit on a computer, but know that it is basically the same as on your phone. Just to paint you a picture, when I shoot my videos, it will be something like that. I will probably have some kind of script, something I'll go through. So there's a bit of a coherent story. I might be explaining something. I might be putting together a little reel for Instagram. It might be YouTube video, but I'll have some kind of script around an idea written out, and I'll go through this. Sometimes I use a teleprompter, which I'm not quite used to yet. But very often I'll have a couple of notes. And what I'll do is I'll say something, I'll trip over my words, I'll repeat it, and go back and I'll repeat it again. Sometimes look at my notes and go back. Now you might be setting this up at home, something like this. I use the camera. In this case, you could use your phone. This is what that looks like for me. I have a little video for you to give you a bit of an idea about how editing software works. Because once you understand how they work, as I just said, it doesn't really matter which one you use. It's a bit like a car. If you can drive a Nissan, you can drive a BMW. And they're basically the same cars. However, in the beginning, it's a bit like learning how to drive. I don't know whether you drive or not, whether you're riding a motorbike or you're driving a car. But when I first started driving, I found a car super overwhelming because there's so many things you have to do. Assuming that it's a manual shift, you have a clutch, you have a brake, an accelerator, a steering wheel, seat, you get your seat belts, you get your mirrors over here, you have to use indicators. It feels very overwhelming. At least I felt very overwhelming. But of course, with a bit of practice, with a couple of hours, you don't even think about these things. These things just kind of go. You can focus on what's happening around you. It is exactly the same with video software. Here's a little video explaining how most video editing software works. The first time I opened up video editing software, I felt like I was in the control room of a submarine. All these meters and lights and things blinking. It was very, very intimidating. I was very confused very, very quickly. I didn't know what half the things meant and I didn't know how to use it. And that's what throws a lot of people off. But having used different video editors, I can tell you most of them are kind of the same. So before we hop onto the computer, why don't I give you an idea about what most of these video editors look like? Once you get the principles here, I think it will be easier regardless of which brand or which type of video editor you're going to go for. Okay, so the dashboard or the canvas in most of these programs will look something like this. I have a camera over here so I can show you what some of these will look like. Once you take your footage out of your phone or out of your camera and you import it into a video editor, most likely you have an area in this case where all your clips will end up. These clips are your bits of footage, your videos from left and right, but also audio. Let's say like me, you recorded separate audio through a lapel mic. Let's say you did an interview, so you have two different microphones. All these clips and your images, your infographics will all show up here. Then once you drag a piece of footage onto the canvas, it will show up here. You'll have a bar that will look a bit like this. Or your video will show up on the top, and usually underneath there is audio. And audio will look something like this, where there's the silence, and you say something again, and you say a little bit more, you keep on talking, etc., etc. And then once your footage is there, it will probably show up something like this. There'll be like a screen in the middle, and that will be your video. That's the video. So once you hit play, something will start to scroll, whatever you call that thing. That's like a little something, scroll something, I don't know what that's called, and you'll see the video play over here. You can pause it, you can forward it, you can rewind it, etc. But you'll see the video that you have over here. If that's the bar with your footage, then on top you'll see your stills. These could be images that you have. These could be lower thirds. To give you an example, this is a lower third, and they will all show up on top. So on top of that footage. Then underneath is your sound and your sound effects. Maybe it's the music you have in the background, maybe it's sound effects like this. And then finally on the other side you have your tools. Here's where you can change the color, you can change the size of your fonts, you can control the volume, give it more bass. All these things, kind of your settings will all be on that side. Then there will usually be some kind of plus and a minus button with which you can zoom in and zoom out of this taskbar. So that is a rough outline, and most of them will look a bit like this. And once you understand how this works and what the order is, then it will be easy to understand any kind of video editor. So let's say that we have some footage, but I also have some images. So while I'm talking, I'm showing a couple of images like this. So let's say that you have 3 images that you want to show. 1, 2, and one I'm going to show a couple seconds longer, right there, and I'll have another image at the end. So looking from the top down, now when you scroll through it, you're going to see the footage. Once this thing comes over here, you won't see the footage because it's covered by an image, right? So we'll show the image, but the audio of the footage will still be playing. So let's say you have some footage, but there's a dead bit in the middle where you're stumbling over your words or you dropped something, you need to get back into it. You can literally cut that video. You cut off the dead bit. You can see there's no volume here. So I'll take that off. And you glue these 2 bits together. Or maybe you have this and there's an image in between, something like that. It's the same for your sound effects. You might have a couple of sound effects left and right. So maybe there's some music playing throughout the video, but you have a little sound effect. Here, you got a little sound effect there when that image comes up, etc. So as you scroll through the video, wherever it is, it will. So once this image comes up, there's that sound effect that goes over there. It goes back to your footage. The background music still playing, comes over here. It hits the sound effect over there. There's another image, goes back to your footage, etc., etc. That is basically how almost every video editor works. Now let's have a look at the real deal on my screen. This is CapCut. CapCut is owned by the same company that owns TikTok. ByteDance, I think they call it a Chinese company. And let's just create a new video over here. And we're going to use this one. This is like a file size. You can choose Instagram posts or other things. I'm going to just be sharing this one over here. This is a little video I put together. I'm going to play it for you first. And I'll tell you what we're going to do with that. This is just a little video for us to use during the session. So I can show you what trimming, cutting, you know, how do you change the colors? What am I trying to say? This is just a simple video to show you how to edit a video, how to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, how to add things like music and how to add things like music and text. I'm not really saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example, so I can show you how I edit my videos. Enjoy. Warning, this is just an example. Here is a simple kind of dashboard of what it would look like. And here you'll see how we can cut and edit videos. So the first thing we want to do is import some video over here. And I can simply upload it here. And then you will see the video over here and it will play like this. Change the colors. Oh, what am I trying to say? So you see the timeline over here. We're just going to start with that one. This is the same on your phones everywhere else. As you see in the beginning, I start to kind of play with the camera because you turn your camera on or your phone on. There's always a bit of a dead bit in the beginning, and very often people make silly faces when you do that. So your face might be like, looking at the lens. You might want to cut that out. So the first thing we want to talk about is trimming. Is trimming the beginning and the end of that video. Now go back over here. Close this one. So this little beginning, if I just scroll forward with my bar, that's just me getting ready for the camera. I actually only start talking about here, right? So you can hear about. This is just a little video. Okay, so about 10 seconds. So what I want to do here is I want to add a cut. And the way I can do that here, there's a couple of tools over here. We can do split scene over here. You can make there's a whole bunch of tools over here. You can split. So in this case, what I will do is it will split this part from that part. I've now cut that little clip in 2 little bits. All I then do is hit delete and I get rid of that one. So now when I start the video, it will start something like here. This is just a little video for us to use during the session so I can show you what trimming, cutting. So that's the video. So I've cut out the first beginning where I'm just using that. I trimmed off the end. And at the end, I also have a piece where I kind of stop talking. Then there's a long kind of pause because I forget to turn off the video. Or there's this, again, you go back to your camera. There might be that little bit at the end. It will be something like this, how I edit my videos. Kind of stop there and then have this awkward look because it's something I'm thinking. Enjoy. I forgot to say something, so I say enjoy at the end. And then I'm thinking of like a little introduction. Warning, this is just an example. Okay, so here at the end of when I talk, I do the same thing. I go towards the end of my sentence. How I edit my videos. So I'm going to stop there again. I'm going to do the same thing. Do the split. And by the way, this on your phone, you might be able to do this with your hand, but there'll be something that says split the clips. You click on the other one, and you remove it. I'm not going to remove it fully yet because I'm going to be, I'll show you this for a second. So now at least the beginning of the video, it starts with me talking. This is just a little video. And at the end of the video, it ends with me. Show you how I edit my videos. There you go. And then it ends over there. So that's trimming. Very simple. You've cut off the beginning at the end. And so many videos I see, they start with that weird second in the beginning, which I think if you just cut that off, it would be clearer. You see this a lot with videos where people walk. So they might be getting ready to walk. The video starts and they start walking. You can cut off that beginning so you already start the video with somebody walking or somebody speaking. So that's trimming, beginning or ends. Very simple, cut those two things off. Let's talk about the second part then. So this first skill is trimming, ends. Let's talk about cutting, because in the video in itself, there's a couple of parts there where there's like dead bits and pieces. Let me show you that one over here. So if we go to the video, this is just a little video for us to use during the session. So I can show you what trimming, cutting. See that so there's an in there. Maybe we don't want that in there. There's a bit of hesitation in there, right? Cutting. So here's another dead bit. Endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, how to add things like music and how to add things like music and text. I'm not really saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example, so I can show you how I edit my videos. Now, there's a lot of bits and pieces in there which are air. I can just cut those out. So for instance here. A video, how to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, how to add things like music and that's how I start my next sentence. It's a bit sloppy. I'm doing this over here. So now we get something like, ooh, there's the transitions. I'm not quite used to this software yet, but you'll get the gist. And how to add things like music and to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, how to add things like music and how to add things like music and text. The endings of it, how to cut them into pieces. So I'm going to cut that little bit off as well. Now it should be something like this. The endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, how to add things like music and text. I'm not really saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to. I'm not saying anything like music and text. I'm not really saying anything like music and text. So it's the end of that sentence. I'm going to cut it there again. All I'm doing is that little thing over here, kind of that split, kind of the cut over there. In this case, I'm using a shortcut on my screen. I'm cutting it there again. I'm not really saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to. And I mess up there. By the way, I do it a lot when I mess up. I go, oh. So let's go back a little bit. I can make this bar a little bit bigger, by the way, if I want to be more precise. So the next sentence starts. I'm going to cut that again, cut that out. So now we have something like this. It's a simple video to show you how to edit a video, how to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, how to add things like music and text. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example, so I can show you how I edit my videos. Okay, so that alone, we just turned a really simple clip of a video. We just trimmed off the beginning at the ending, so I'm still playing around with my camera. And we've taken out all the dead bits and all the things that I'm repeating in the middle. Now, why is that important? Because very often when we create these videos, of course, I stumble over my words. I create a script. Very often I stumble over my words. One of the big reasons people find video so incredibly hard because they try, maybe you do the same, I used to do the same, you try to remember, let's say, the words for a 1 minute video. Now, 1 minute video does not seem long. That's the average Instagram reel, for instance. You can say a lot in 1 minute. And what then happens is people try to get the perfect words out, and they kind of look at this and they try to remember, and they go, "Good morning, my name is Yuri. Welcome to my little studio where today I'm going to be telling you about my lighting, my sound over here, and my editing software." Let's start with the lighting. I'm using a whatever the text is. That's a lot of information. And most likely, somewhere in there, you'll start to trip up. You forget things, you stumble over your words, you're umming and erring, and those things will make a 1 minute video um, very painful and very long. The great thing is, if you learn some basic cuts like this, you can delete all that. So what I sometimes do is I will just repeat myself. Hey everybody, good morning. My name is Yuri, and today we're going to be talking about. Hey everybody, good morning. My name is Yuri, and today we're going to be talking about video editing. And we're going to be talking about video editing. I might do that. I might repeat a couple of times, and then in the editing, I will just take the version that is best. So let's go back to our video. So it's quite normal, but once you learn cutting, you can just cut out the fluff. You can make the recording a lot more enjoyable. You just repeat the parts until it comes out well, and then you can cut in between. You can cut in between the pauses. You do not see any difference. So we go back to this one. We've talked about trimming. Trimming is cutting off the ends like a loaf of bread. You cut off the beginning and the end, and then cuts in between. So you can cut out the mistakes. And if you then put them together, you get a video that's a bit more like this. To cut them into pieces, how to add things like it was a bit messy, so I can move things. Can move things like that, move them back and forth a bit, move them up and down. Pieces, how to add things like music. Things like music and text. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example to show you how I edit my videos. So that is my little video over here. I've taken out a lot of the stuff that I did wrong. However, I had one little bit at the end. I don't know whether you remember that. So let me just create this this backend again. So I'm going to be expanding this clip because it's still there. Put this here. Expand the clip. Is it not expanding? Fine, I'll do it like that then. So I'm going to add this video over here. Because if you remember at the end of the original video, I say something. Make this a bit smaller. At the end of the video, I say this. Warning, this is just an example. So I thought that was a nice little introduction for that video. So what I can do is, because I now know how to cut, I can do this. Let me go here. So here I say warning. Okay, this is not the nicest software to use, but it works. I'm going to cut that over there. I'm going to get rid of this as we don't need this. So now it should start here. Warning, this is just an example. And let me cut it there again. So now we have this one little clip. Warning, this is just an example. What I can undo is I can move this towards the beginning of the video. This is just a simple. So rather than starting there, I now have this as an introduction. Warning, this is just an example. This is just a simple video to show you how to edit a video, how to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, things like. This is still a bit sloppy. I don't like this. Let me move this here. There. Pieces should be there. Let me clean this up a little bit, make it nice and tight. Because, you know, by the way, if people think like, why does video take so long? Because of this kind of stuff. Add things like music. Let me do this. So now we have a little clip like that. Now the next part is we've done trimming. Go over here. Why is it not removing that? Yeah, you go. Add things like. Nice. We now have a video clip. It's now cut into pieces. Now we have one video that's a lot more coherent. We've got the weird beginning out. We've got the clips in there. Now let's add something else. The nice thing about CapCut is same in iMovie, same in Camtasia, same in a lot of other video editing software that you have. like in Canva, you have elements that you can add. Let's just start with a bit of music. So on this side here on the left bar, make sure you can still see me, wonderful. In CapCut here on the left side, we have a bar that has music on it. And let's say that I want to add a bit of music. Well, let's not do sad. Let's do a bit of lo-fi music. If in doubt, go for lo-fi, just like beats. And here we can hear some music that we can use. I hope that's not too loud on your side. Let's say we like this song. We can simply drag this song onto here. We can drag it onto the bar and it goes underneath. I don't know whether you remember the video, whether the video played well before, but it's usually video on top. If you look at it, so the top bar is the video, what we see over here, and then underneath is the music or sound effects. Things like swooshes and points will be over there. By the way, if you're still here, thank you so much for your patience. I really appreciate this. This is a bit experimental for me as well. Sometimes these things are not as easy to do live, but hey, lesson learned. The only way to find out whether something works is by doing it. We now have some music underneath, so now it will sound like this and probably way too loud. Warning, this is just an example. That's way too loud. This is just a simple video to show you, just for us to use. So you can't really hear what I am saying. The problem with a lot of videos I see is that the sound, the background music is too loud and it distracts from what you're saying. The part of this video, the point of this video is what I'm saying, even though I'm not saying anything meaningful. Let's drop the volume a bit because right now it's really out of whack. Right now it's like this. Anything meaningful in this video. Over here, we can then change the volume. On some of the apps that you have to tap with your finger on the volume and drop the volume. Here's my super duper tip. Whatever you drop it to, probably drop it even more. If you think it's right, drop it a little bit more because very often music will still be louder than you think. So now what we have is this. Music and text. I'm not saying anything meaningful. Now we can barely hear it. Let's up it a bit. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example to show you. It's already a lot better, right? This is already a lot better. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just okay. This is not too bad. This is okay, but I think we can drop that a little bit more. Like I said, if in doubt, drop a little bit more. If you do -20, let's make that -28 or something. I think now we should have a decent volume to trim the like music and text. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use. That sounds like decent volume over there. However, the song sounds kind of quiet. I want it to sound where the beat starts. So the first part of the song, first couple of seconds, is just a bit of sound. Warning, this is just an example. This is just a simple. See, it's not really doing anything. But like with the video, we can do exactly the same thing here. We can either hit this. We can either move it here like that, yeah, to where we want it to start. Or we can do the same with the footage. We can cut it somewhere. So I'm going to find out where the music starts. Let me up the volume a little bit so we can hear that better. Was it -28? To trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces. Somewhere here. Add things like music and. Okay, so pop, somewhere there. Add things like music and. Add things like music. And. A little bit back. Add things like. Nice. So it starts from here. I can do the same thing with the soundbar. Same principles. You go to the same part, and over here you can see split. In this case, I'm going to use a shortcut. In this case, it's Command B, Control B. I think if you're using a Windows system, I'm going to remove that part. I'm going to move this bit to the beginning. So right now, the video should start on that beat. Let's see. Warning, this is just an example. But here's what I want to do. I want to say, warning, here's an example. And then the beat starts. Well, very simple. I can move this bar there as well. Remember, this is where the second clip starts. Let me zoom in a little bit more. This is where I start talking, so we can do the same thing right there. I can move it just about there. So now I think we've got something like this. Warning, this is just an example. This is just a simple video. Nice. Okay, so that kind of works. Again, we had the volume to -28. Now we have something that's a bit more subtle. We have something like this. Warning. This is just an example. This is just a simple video to show you how to edit a video, how to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces. Just an example. This is just a simple This is just an example, and then the music starts. Wonderful. So now we can see the music goes on much longer than the actual video. So also at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it over there, cut off the video. Now we should have something like this. As an example, to show you, as an example, to show you how I edit my videos. Okay, something like that. But now we already have something that looks like a pretty decent video. Again, forget about the content over here. It's more about how this is. Now let's add a bit of text. So what's this video about again? Just like a test video, right? So let's just call this test video. Same thing here on the left bar. You'll see things like captions, which talk about some other data, show subtitles, text. Nice. They have kind of animated text, which you can see over here, which you can add. You'll get something like this. Show you how to edit a video. Give me a like on a video. Maybe that's something. Now, if you use any kind of editing software, you will know that you can move things. This is kind of the same. Let me show you. Video to show you how to edit a. Let's say that I want people to like my video. Same. If sound comes underneath the video, then all these text, but also images will come on top. So right now we have this. Like with anything else, we can move that around. We can make that longer, shorter, however we want to do is. Now we're going to put that towards the end. Let's say this is a video that I have for social media. Example. I want people to like the video. So I'm going to hit that little bar, and like with any other kind of software, let me move that here. I can make this bigger. So at the end of the video, we get this. This video is just for us to use as an example to show you how I edit my videos. Nice. I can do that to the end of the video. Wonderful. Warning. This is just an example. Let's say in the beginning, I want to have the words warning show up. Do we have something like that? What's a nice font over here? Here, let's try this. Again, I'm just making this up. So we're going to turn this into, I think I have to do it like that. The word comes up over here. Warning. Let's make that really big. Oh, I hit the wrong one. Over there, somewhere in the middle, like this. Can we make it even bigger? Probably can. Is this a good font? Maybe this is not a good font. Maybe do something else. It is up to you how you want to do it. So somewhere here. Warning. This is just an example. This is just nice, right? So now we have something like that. By the way, afterwards, once you get to editing, you're going to find out that things are like very precise. You have to move things like second to second. That's why this takes a long time. But once you get the hang of it, remember what I said with driving before, once you get the hang of these basic things, trim off, beginning and the endings, learn how to cut and take things out in the beginning or even rearrange them, then add a bit of music underneath. Remember, if in doubt, take off 30% of volume and add a bit of text, in this case, animated text on top. Warning, this is just an example. This is just a simple video to show you how to edit a video, how to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, add things like music and text. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example to show you how I edit my videos. Warning. Nice. So we now have a video. This is already looking pretty decent. We can put this online. I think I might. I think this is one of the better videos that I've created in the last 20 minutes. One last thing. We talked about trimming, cutting, adding music, adding text. The last thing I want to add is transitions. Transition is a very simple thing you can do between clip. So if this is a clip, if you look at my bar over here, right? This is a clip. That's a clip. That's a clip. You can add transitions in between, so things move a little bit around. They move from left to right. And there's all kinds of, I don't know why I added that already. See, I'm not used to this software. It's like a new car. I kind of know how to drive it, but I have to get used to it a little bit. So we can add a transition. There's all kinds of transitions in between things. As you can see here, something that kind of moves things up and down. There's lights you can use, but let's use really simple transitions like this. Let's put a transition here. Now this looks like this. An example. This is just I don't like that transition. It's very ugly. Did you see that? You can see things moving. Not a nice transition. So if I click on it, hit delete, you can remove that one again. It's as simple as that. Let me move, let me take this one, transition here. Well, how about this transition? This is nice, it's already a lot better. Now it's even to the music, if you can hear it. Warning, this is just an example. This is just a simple video to show you how to edit a video, how to trim. We have a couple more spots where we could add a transition. You don't have to, by the way, you can add a transition. So let me add a vertical transition over here. Now we get this. How to cut them into pieces, how to add things like music. Oh, I don't like that. That is not very good. Let me change that to this big one. Oh, these are kind of funky. Slide. Can we do slides? I'm not a big fan of these. I find a lot of them very cheesy. I don't know how old you are. I remember when PowerPoint slides started, and everybody in their PowerPoint slides had just way too many, and I mean way too many transitions and pings and pongs. You can get a bit like that with video. That depends on your style. If you ask somebody to edit your video who is very young, they'll do lots of transitions. There's a lot going on because the average 24-year-old has the attention span of less than a goldfish and needs to have 5 different screens going off at the same time. Maybe your audience, like my audience for my videos on my YouTube channel, is a little bit older. So I don't need things to be super fast and super in your face. I can slow things down a little bit. So with these things, transitions and effects, use them sparingly. Don't overdo them. So for instance, I find this way too much. How to add things like music and cut them into pieces. How to add cheesy. I find that cheesy. Maybe we don't need this here. How to cut them into pieces. Add things like music and text. I'm not saying anything mean text. Maybe we'll add one more over here. So somewhere here in this one over here, let's add one more. Let's pick one from whatever, a trending. Okay, let's see what that one looks like. And text. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example to show you how I edit my videos. Okay, so now we already have something which has a couple of transitions in there. We have some text on there. We've cut out bits and pieces. We now basically have a video. This is shareable. Can you do a million more things to it? Absolutely. And I totally will. But the point here is I'll show you a couple more things in a second. But if you have these 5 things, trimming, cutting, adding music, adding text, and a couple of transitions, these things alone will make a massive difference to your video, will make them a lot more interesting, and it will save you a lot of time because you don't have to get that 1 minute of video content down in one go. You can stumble over a couple of words, get that one line out, and then just take that one line and take that paragraph there and put those 2 things together to make it sound like something that's pretty coherent. I'm going to show you one little trick, which I do in a lot of my videos. You'll see me do this if you have watched any of my videos. And it's this one. This is advanced. This is a bonus. This is number 6 before I show you a final example. I'm going to wrap this up. To trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, add things like... So what I might do is from clip 1 to clip 2, it can be a little bit jarring. Now I didn't do this. This is like a rough cut. How to cut them into pieces, add things like music and text. One thing which I do is I might make the next clip a little bit bigger. I'll do something like that, but I'll keep my eyes at the same level. I try to keep my eye line the same level. So where my eyes sit on the imagine a line, and you can actually do this in software. Imagine a line on the screen. I want to keep my eye line in the same line. The reason I say that is because if I don't, I'll show you. I'm going to exaggerate it. How to cut them into pieces, add things like... Okay, it's very exaggerated, but my point is you actually lose, go back, you actually lose the audience a bit. It's easier because your eyes usually look at the eyes of somebody speaking on screen. So you want to make sure your eyes are at the same level. But all I did here, I don't know whether you noticed that, I made this clip a little bit bigger, usually like 20% bigger. And then you get a cut like this. How to cut them into pieces, add things like music and text. I'm not saying anything meaningful. That's a nice way of doing that without adding a transition. So if you have, let's say, 10 clips, what some people lazy editing does is You do one clip at 100%, so the normal size. The clip after that, you do 15%. And then the second one, you do 40% bigger. And then you go back to 100. And what you get between the cuts, you get that bit of moving up and down. If you keep the eye level the same, you create dynamic. You create a certain energy within your video. Within your video. And the final thing I want to show you. Is that here somewhere? Where is this? Where is this? Can I do this over here? Warning, this is just an example. Okay, these are like stupid effects. I was going to show you something else. Find one over here. Oh, there we go, filters. So for instance, I can change the filter. As you do with photos, I can change this to something else. Let's say that I'm just going to create a black and white. Create a black and white here. Warning, this is just an example. This is just... That was a bit messy because it was there, but let me move this back. There you go. I think this should be good. So now you can play a bit with the colors like you do with images, and I'm going to leave it there. But warning, this is just an example. This is just a simple video to show you how to edit a video, how to trim the beginnings and the endings of it, how to cut them into pieces, add things like music and text. I'm not saying anything meaningful in this video. It's just for us to use as an example to show you how I edit my videos. Hope you make this work. Start playing around with this. Take any video. And like I said, once you understand one of them, you understand all of them. It's a bit like driving a car. And the more you play with it, the better you're going to get. It's just something that you can learn. Anybody can learn. And I think it will make your videos a lot more engaging for your audience. And it will make the process of making them a lot more engaging for you.